Well, my job title was Environmental Affairs Officer. So I was brought in to deal with communities and do community engagement, coordinating with citizens related to oil and gas matters. And by and by, I became the Petroleum Administrator. So that's my title now. So I deal with drill sites, pipelines, and refineries. And so I do research reports for City Council, for other departments, for the Mayor's Office, and I also provide policy guidance and analyze legislation. So my day will start usually, I'll have some meetings coordinated with my employees to give them work for the day. I'll also sometimes meet with community groups, so there might be a community steering committee that I'm part of, sometimes with some of the air quality management districts, AB 617 meetings, or potentially working on some oil field meetings. So there are sometimes monthly meetings related to oil fields where I am concerned about the city's interests. I also might meet with council members or other agencies within the city, such as the fire department or the Department of Planning. So in some of my meetings, I'm working with citizens or community-based organizations that are working to help the environment, specifically the health of communities impacted by oil. So I see those efforts, and over time I've got to see sometimes drill sites that are being closed or air monitoring that's programs that have been improved, so giving the community better information, or at times giving them less impacts due to oil. Mentor for me was the previous manager, Kentuck. He was a petroleum administrator, the first one in modern times, and he really taught me the importance of communication and understand the process from beginning to end and seeing things through. Mathematics. So I've had to do dealing with the pipelines. That's all about geometry. So it's not just length of pipeline, it's also the diameter, so pi r squared. I'm going back to a lot of geometry that I learned in school and applying it every day. Volume, circumference, all of that is relevant. So you know, you're doing all these things in school. So I studied environmental science and policy at school, and of course you had to take calculus and all these mathematics for it, but then to actually apply it day to day, I had to explain to someone, oh, you can't just do the length. You have to know the volume, and pi r squared. What's pi? Oh yeah, 3 points. It's important. You got to use it. Yeah, I think there's just, it's hard to understand all the infrastructure that's underground. And so much of it is hidden, but all the pipelines, utilities, and all the crisscrossing networks, it's like spaghetti under there, and people don't understand what's under the ground. And it's very interesting, but it's also complicated to work around whenever projects are happening. There's so many people that touch, and each person is responsible for one of those lines. And maybe it's electricity, maybe it's telecommunications, maybe it's AT&T, maybe it's Southern California Gas, maybe it's whoever. So it's a lot of entities that are involved in that. So it's just coordinating with all of those people and those regulators as well as those individual entities. So we have contracts for what happens in the city's public right-of-way. So as there are pipelines in the public right-of-way, we can set conditions because there's potential for them, there's pollution. Sometimes it's water lines, sometimes it's petroleum. And so if the petroleum leaks out, that's potential. So we set standards for the bonds and insurance that they need to have. We also set standards for how many frequently they test them, and all of that, just their operating conditions. And so that's something that we talk about. If there's a leak, what happens? If there's a break, we coordinate with them. If they're going to be installing new pipelines or taking out some, we do a lot of coordination. So we work with Bureau of Engineering, we work with Bureau of Contract Administration, the Planning Department. Do they need to do CEQA, so California Environmental Quality Act, EIRs, it's a lot. There can be a lot involved. So if they're putting in pipelines, are they going to tear up the street that's going to affect your drive? Are they going to be putting in something? Is there going to be sidewalks closures? Are there going to be potholes in the ground? Well, what's going to happen? So all of that affects people who are driving on the streets or living or working near the city's public right-of-way. Well, I was asked by the U.S. Department to arrange an oil tour for the U.S. Department of Interior Secretary Deb Haaland back in 2021. So I had to figure out a council district where she could see the oil, but also what's possible once the oil is removed. So we went to Council District 1, where there was a previous drill site and it's now a park, and so we showed them what is possible. And so that was unexpected. I've arranged baby showers, but never a tour for the Department of Interior Secretary, so it was very exciting. And it was Public works is important because it affects so many people, from the roads you travel, the pipelines that are underground that provide electricity or natural gas so your stove turns on. All of these things are important, and it affects everyone who drives or walks within the city. Hi, I'm Erica Blyther. I'm with the Office of Petroleum, Natural Gas Administration and Safety. Happy Public Works Week.